Hey, loves, how are you? Welcome to day 11 of Inner Union. And yesterday's video, Divine Feminine Surrender, was so important that I decided to do a Divine Feminine Surrender part two. Yesterday was addressing what happens to Divine Masculine once Divine Feminine surrenders. And today we're going to go into what happens to Divine Feminine when she surrenders. Okay, so I'm going to put that yesterday's video in the description box in the pinned comment. If anybody has not seen that yet, you're definitely going to want to check it out. So, when Divine Feminine is initiated and she's in this process, and the intensity and overwhelm of what it can be, especially at the beginning, there is a lot of different layers and levels to process, as I'm sure many of you know. But as Divine Feminine goes through this process, she's learning to align with the higher divine order and learning how to drop into surrender, which is also supporting her in learning how to get into her receptive energy. But I want to acknowledge that, yes, there are many feminines on this planet, but we also grew up in a masculine society. And we were not, for the most part, taught to how to move into our true receptive energy. I don't know about you, but I definitely wasn't. And in many cases, we were operating quite a bit from our masculine energy and often even our own wounded masculine energy in ways that we were protecting ourselves. Okay. And this dance, this is why the inner union energy becomes so important, because in order for the feminines to go into their surrender energy, they're needing their internal masculine energy to be healed deeply as well, so that she can hold a container that's safe and stable for herself to surrender to the higher power and the higher divine will of her purpose. Okay. And this is very important because some of the things that happen for Divine Feminine on this process is she actually starts to align with her true purpose. And when that happens, a lot of things do exit her life or change or shift, because prior to these types of initiations, we were just doing what we knew how to do. And oftentimes we were pushing or projecting and creating from what we thought we were supposed to do or what we should do based on what society was showing us or telling us, what family, friends, basically what the general collective was saying was the right things to do. And even for many feminines who maybe never quite fit in with that, there was still quite a bit of programming, and maybe still is, that we're transmuting in order to truly drop into our true receptive and creative energy. This planet is in major need of the divine feminine essence, in surrender, in receptivity, because this is how we get into that harmonious balance within ourselves, but also on the planet, restoring the true sacred masculine and sacred feminine codes. So as we're going through this process, it's learning how to be comfortable being in our receptive mode. And like I said, surrendering to those things. But this is where sometimes this process of surrender becomes interesting, because you may find that you're going down the road and you come up with a pocket of energy. I like to work with things in pockets because they're more digestible. I'm sure many of you can also attest to how at the beginning of these initiations, when you go into the dark night of the soul, you're really blind in a lot of areas and trying to figure out how to navigate all of the energies, all of the layers, all the information that's coming through and up in your system. And so one of the things I've learned how to do is work within containers, or what I call pockets of energy that are more digestible for me to work with, neutralize in those, and then move to whatever next pocket ends up presenting for me. But within this, it's like it's a dance, because as you're surrendering, you may find as you surrender into one thing, and then you're going along, and like the next day or a week later, something else comes up in your system, and you're like, oh, wow, I wasn't as surrendered as I thought. That's okay. That is a big part of the process. This surrendering process is the retraining of all of that energy of pushing and pressuring yourself into being a certain way. So you are rewriting that by learning how to drop into surrender with these different scenarios that are put in front of you. Okay. So know that you're in the process of surrendering and learning that overall surrender to the higher power. And there's also the other side of the dance where, yes, you're surrendered, but you're surrendered to your guidance. So there's still much and many times where you are being guided to take action. I'll tell you a little funny story. Like, I was working on things that I was passionate about and I enjoyed, and I was applying my skills in the way that I knew how to apply them. And I wasn't getting as far as I thought I was going to. And finally, I just completely surrendered to it. And I received this message from my higher self. Oh, now you're ready to actually do what your purpose is. Now you're actually really ready to listen and see what you're intending, what your soul intended to do. Because there's a lot of things that we're capable of doing, right? But what is it that we're actually meant to be doing? What is going to be the trajectory that's actually going to put us on the highest timeline for our highest potential? Because in retrospect, I see, yes, there's a lot of things I could do, but it was also playing very small in comparison to what I'm capable of. Okay. And so that's another piece of it. It's this dance. Everything is a dance. It's an internal dance. It's a dance with your counterpart. It's a dance with your emotions. It's a dance with your ability to surrender and also know when to take action. It's a dance of allowing the triggers and the emotions to come up, letting them come up, letting yourself feeling them, and then neutralizing and harmonizing yourself with them. It's this constant ebb and flow and getting comfortable with some of these very uncomfortable things, which I know if you're here and not been on this journey, in often cases, you really just don't have a choice but to move through the discomfort or keep going until you find solutions that are helping you feel more comfortable within the energies that are being brought up in your system. Okay. So, this divine feminine surrender is incredibly important on so many levels. I don't even know if I could really bring all of that forth with words right now. So, just tapping into the energy of that in your own way. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and just pull some cards, because again, there's so many messages and so much energy. I just want to bring in some very succinct messages for those of you here. What can divine feminine know? Okay. So with this surrender, as I was speaking, you have the Ten of Swords and the Lovers that came out. Now, when I feel into energies, they often come in layered. So I'm going to read these cards in layers of the energy that's coming up as I sit with it. And first off, it's immediately coming into the inner union energies. And this energy feels about how divine feminine goes on this solo journey, in her internal journey, facing her shadows, learning to balance her inner masculine and feminine, and really allowing herself to integrate with everything that she's learning. And what's coming to me is to acknowledge that sometimes it's uncomfortable, that we don't fully know or understand things. But this is where we're being called to go into those pockets. Because what's happening, loves, is we're the ones who are being called to get this information. Okay. It's actually why I'm here on this channel. Because when I was going through this process, there was many beautiful channels and different things that supported me along the way. But there was also a lot of pockets where I was craving support or just someone to connect with and process with. Not even that I needed anybody to do anything for me specifically, but to sit and just hold space with me and let me process, and someone who actually understood this journey would have been priceless. And so I knew once I got to the point, I wanted to be able to come on and create those types of supports and energy. Okay. And this is why I'm sharing this is we're being called to create the library and the keys and the codes where there's the empty spaces on the shelf in the bookstore. Okay. We are being called to go into these internal pockets and energies and discover the truth for ourselves. And as we're going through these personal internal processes, we're finding these beautiful gems inside. And this is part of how we're learning to extract our own internal codes and remembrances in true core soul purpose. Okay. This is why the internal journey and the inner union is so incredibly imperative, because it's through this process that you're distilling your gifts. It's where you're remembering them, where you're pulling them up, where you're discovering them, because a lot of them were buried. Remember, they were buried under the core soul wound. Okay. So as you're going through these processes, this purification process, which I have a video on the purification process and the core soul wound, if you guys are interested in those. So we're going through these processes, and through the processes is where we find the diamonds. Okay. This is why. This is why divine masculine is also quiet and on his journey, because you're intended to be in your own space, truly dropping into who you are, truly authentically stepping into that, showing up for yourself, stabilizing in all of who you are. Okay. Because all of who you are is who you came here to be. And if you are distracted off with all these other things, you might miss some things. Okay. So just trust the divine timing and the divine order. And if you can see this time as your personal time to extract and discover your own keys and codes of how to support yourself, and to put your book, your keys, your codes on the shelf in the new library for the new templates. Okay. So this feels like a very important message, that when you're going into these uncomfortable spaces or dropping into that surrender and more things come up, see yourself as an explorer, as an archaeologist, right? Of your own inner love, of your own inner wisdom. Okay. Because there's ancient wisdom in there, but then there's also this new wisdom that is coupled with the ancient wisdom. And the new wisdom is all the things you've been learning in this life, on this path, right? All the things that brought you to this point, the ways that you've been showing up for yourself, the ways that you've been being of service to the planet, the ways that you've been learning interdependence and inner union and unity consciousness and unconditional love, where you're learning to show up for yourself and no longer self-betray. All of those things. Think about each moment and each time you strengthen in yourself and your energy, and you surrender to allowing yourself to go into that neutrality and to go through this process, even as uncomfortable as it is in moments. It's the very process that is helping you bloom and blossom into the individual, the soul, the person, the human that you intended to be when you arrived here. Okay, loves? I'm here because I know that this is not for the faint of heart. This is a process and a path that is intense, but you wouldn't have chose it if you weren't ready. And you're strong enough to allow yourself to go to the depths of your own heart. Okay? Be gentle, take your time. This is not a race. You're going to get there when you're going to get there. The surrender will get easier and easier and easier as you practice, and the levels of surrender will become stronger. And the more you trust that process of surrendering, the more you will feel the supports of the divine. Okay? And you're also learning how to embody more and more of your own higher self. And as you learn how to embody that into your physical body, you're learning to dance with your own divine. It's the dance with the divine, it's the embrace of your own divine essence, but embodying it into this physical vessel in still being human, right? Like a sacred human, allowing yourself to be all of those. This is a gift for the human to embody the higher self, but this is a gift for the higher self to equally embody into a physical vessel and get to experience those two things simultaneously. It's amazing what you guys are doing. Really stop and think about the fact that you are doing things right now that have never been done on this planet. Was there a time when we were embodying our higher self? Yes. But there was not a time where we were embodying our higher selves with all that wounding in our system. That has never been done to my awareness from what I've been shown. I'm just going to share it like that. Okay. I'm not claiming to know everything by any means, but from what I've been shown and what I've seen, that is something I feel comfortable saying to you. Okay. You are doing things that have never been done, and you have keys and codes inside of you that no one knows about yet, even you. So keep going. Keep going, loves. It's all going to come together. You're working on all these pieces, and there may come times where it seems like not a lot is happening, or a lot is happening inside, but it's kind of quiet on the external. It's because you're pulling in your manifestation of the life you came here to create from all of the different directions. Just allow yourself to surrender to that. Trust the higher power, have faith in that energy, have faith in yourself, build that trust with yourself, with your inner union, continue to build that trust with the highest alignment. And just know that if you have those moments or those days where it's hard to do, that's okay. It's a part of the process. Allow yourself to feel what you feel, but always remember where you're headed. Always remember your intention. Your seeds have been planted. You've set your intentions. You know parts of why you want to be here. There might be some that you don't know yet, but that's the beauty of these new creations. Okay. Those might be some of the keys and codes that are inside of you that are going to open up and unlock as you go along this journey and hold this sacred space for yourself. Okay, loves? I'm going to leave it there. I do want you to know that, yes, some of you have asked, I do have one-on-one sessions. I'm actually doing a special on my coaching type of session where it's coaching energy and messages. But a lot of it, I would say, with this crowd right here, that's a good session if you're looking or needing someone to just process with, someone who understands the journey, someone to help you kind of air it out and process it and maybe get some perspectives or some energetic support. That's a great session for that. And also I have more of a more intensive, like soul retrieval, soul thawing types of session as well. Okay. I will also drop that information in the comments if there's any of you who are interested. Okay, loves. I'm so grateful to have you here with me, and welcome to all of the new subscribers. We're so happy to have you here with your energy and your love. And as always, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for day 12. All right, loves, have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.